From the national newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. The funeral of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who died earlier this month in a remote Arctic penal colony, will take place on Friday in Moscow. His spokesperson said this morning the funeral will be held at a church in Moscow's southeast Mariino district. The burial is to be at a nearby cemetery. Russian authorities said the cause of his death at age 47 is still unknown. Many Western leaders, though, have already said they hold Russian President Vladimir Putin responsible for it. A Saskatchewan coroner's inquest enters its third day today in Saskatoon, and it is expected to hear more from officers and paramedics who responded as a mass killer was taken into police custody. Miles Sanderson had been on the run for 3 days when police caught up to him in September of 2022. Jurors yesterday saw video of his roadside capture, where Sanderson asked officers how many people he'd killed during his stabbing rampage on the James Smith Cree Nation. Daryl Burns, whose sister was among the 11 lives lost, says hearing Sanderson's lack of remorse left him with very conflicted feelings.
I felt anger when he was talking about the body count and how to me, he was looking for fame, looking for some kind of recognition.
Sanderson died of an acute cocaine overdose shortly after his arrest. The Canadian Cancer Society is calling on Ontario to fund take-home cancer drugs in the same way as it funds cancer medications that are administered through IV in hospital. It says Ontario is the only province other than those in Atlantic Canada that does not cover oral cancer meds, which can cost patients thousands of dollars a month. The Society's Ontario Advocacy Manager, Hilary Buchan-Terrell, says the Society has been advocating for coverage for oral meds for more than a decade.
And this is the message that we've been giving to government is, you want to keep people out of hospitals, give people the right care at the right place, the right time. Well, here's an opportunity to do so.
The Cancer Society estimates that covering the medication would cost Ontario between $17 and $44 million a year. And we all get an extra 24 hours this year with the leap year. And salaried employees might be wondering whether they'll be getting paid extra tomorrow for working on February 29th.
Employment lawyer Brittany Taylor says this isn't the first time we've had a leap year, but it's one of the first times she's heard questions about a leap day paycheck. She says hourly workers come out the winners because they will get paid for the hours they work on February 29th, but it could look different for those on salary. Taylor says salaried workers are not entitled to receive extra compensation just because there's an extra day in a month every 4 years. She adds workers can negotiate with their employers and get it added to their contract, but there isn't any rule for leap day pay. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
This is The Canadian Press. In sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs saw their longest winning run since 2003 come to a screeching halt last night with a 6-2 loss to the Golden Knights in Toronto. The Leafs had a 7-game winning streak going. The Montreal Canadiens snapped their 5-game losing streak with a 4-2 win over Arizona. Calgary earned a 4th straight win, 4-2 over the LA Kings. It was Winnipeg, 4-2 over St. Louis. And Erik Karlsson scored the game winner in overtime to lift Pittsburgh to a 4-3 win over Vancouver. In the Professional Women's Hockey League action, Sarah Nurse scored twice, including the overtime winner, as Toronto notched its 6th straight win, 4-3 over Minnesota. In baseball spring training, Toronto Blue Jays right-hander Alek Manoah had a rough first preseason start as the Detroit Tigers beat the Blue Jays 6-4. And Shohei Ohtani homered with a 2-run shot in his spring debut with the Dodgers in beating the White Sox. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.